Now, I would like to bring up your incoming district director, Mr. J.P. Bachman.
Thank you. It's funny, I never really imagined this day would come that I would get to stand on this stage and address a district as incoming district director. Thank you for trusting me. Who here is familiar with a SWOT analysis? That's a lot of hands. One of the things as I was considering this role and considering the theme of this week, explore the possibilities. And I was having such a hard time coming up with what that actually meant and how I wanted to address you. The last few years have been really tough. Victoria, Jacqueline, Mike, if you're watching. This has been rough. I think it was last weekend, I was talking to a buddy of mine at church, and he said, he's an avid scuba diver. And he said, there's actually more scuba divers licensed in the state of Colorado than there are in the state of Florida. And that gave me an idea. Why shouldn't I talk about something that has to do with the ocean? Because what vast exploration the ocean holds. So my question to you right now, if I have slides. There we go. My question to you now is, are you ready to surf? Yes, I'm going to talk about surfing in Colorado because of the vast oceans that we have around us. Who here knows anything about surfing? Thank God I can lie as much as I want to right now. There are some things that you need to know if you're going to take on the ocean in this way. First, you have to turn your clicker on. First, you have to be ready for the wave. Who here was ready for COVID-19? Oh, come on. Okay, I'll give you that pass. But none of us could have imagined what was going to happen. And to the past district leaders who had to go through that, you had it rough. So with the SWOT analysis, that would be what we consider a threat. It's something that happens to us that we have zero control over. Nobody was ready for this. The next thing that you have to consider is the tide. With the ocean, that's controlled by the moon. It's gravity. It goes around the earth every 24 hours. So that what that means is every 6 hours, there's a change in tidal conditions. It's either high and rising, high and falling, low and falling, or low and rising. And each one of those circumstances has a different wave condition. If it's high and rising, the waves crest quickly and they collapse hard. If it's high and falling, you get those beautiful, perfect waves that every surfer in California and Hawaii love. If it's low and falling, it's dead and boring. And if it's low and rising, it's just these little rollers that don't really amount to much. And finally, you have to consider the weather. Waves are caused by wind. So if it's completely dead, you don't have any waves. If it's a torrent, the waves are dangerous. So you need just a gentle breeze to keep things going and have those nice waves to ride. So I'm going to talk about the surfing conditions that we've been under for the last 3 years. For the most part, we had no idea how to ride the wave. We didn't know when to paddle. We didn't know how to balance on the board. And it was tough. This is kind of what we experienced right at the end of Mike's year. It was like, oh, what are we going to do? And Jacqueline, you were program quality director trying to put this together in that circumstance. How hard was that? You fell off the board. And it wasn't because of you. It was because nobody knew what was happening. Then we have to consider the tide. What happened? Hey, Harold, you actually addressed this in your speech. What happened around 2018? 2018, 2019, pathways come out. Now with that, we changed our education system, and so many people were frustrated with the new technology and the fact that manuals went away and the technology wasn't really user-friendly. So we were getting people that were leaving. The tide was out and it was falling. So we had horrible surfing conditions. This wasn't something that we could control. Harold, it's not your fault. We won't blame you. Lark. But this wasn't something that we can control. This was something that happened that we had to deal with. But again, we weren't prepared for how the district was going to react or how we had to roll this out. And then finally, the weather. What happened in 2020? We had a little bit of a storm, didn't we? And that storm lasted a couple years. And those storms created a dangerous situation. Fortunately, technology was there that we were able to survive. But when it comes to the leadership who was standing where I'm standing now, Victoria, Jacqueline, Mike, those waves were beating you down. It wasn't anything that anybody could have controlled. In Jacqueline's year, you had nothing to do but try to figure this stuff out. In your year, you got pushed to the ocean floor by a slamming wave, and you didn't even know how to come up for air. It was hard. And thank you for your leadership through this, Jacqueline. This year, we were starting to kind of figure out what was going on, but we have these incredibly difficult hybrid conferences that we're trying to figure out, and how to keep people engaged and not lose clubs. And Victoria, this has been a hard year. And I'm sorry for all the browbeating that you and I did with one another, but we were frustrated. And what you are trying to do this year and continue to do is swim to safety. Nobody can fault you for any challenges that we've had to go through because this was thrust upon us. But do you see what's coming? Do you feel it? The storm is breaking. If you look outside of Toastmasters, you can start seeing this with corporations going back to work. People are going back to the office. Now that there's enough vaccinations and people are starting to feel more comfortable, we're starting to re-engage. We're in person again. The people who left Toastmasters because of pathways or because they didn't want to get onto this new system, they're gone. It's unfortunately, we had to lose those folks. Or some people got on board and they struggled and they fought and they learned this new system, and now they're here and their clubs, Bonnie Ann, are thriving. So the tide is coming in, but we still have a challenge. Do you know how to get on the wave? Do we know what to look for? Because what I see is I see the tide coming in. The weather is getting better. It doesn't mean it's good. We still have a nice stiff breeze, but that makes for some really good waves. We have opportunities now to get on a big wave and have just such a fun ride. We have this new technology, this new way to embrace and engage our members virtually. Like Harold and Lark and Andre all said, we have the ability now to talk to people in different cultures, in different countries, with different attitudes and ideas and mentalities. Or we can engage locally by getting back in person, or we can do so hybrid or in a hybrid way. That doesn't mean we know exactly what we're doing, but folks, what you do when you see a good wave is you turn your board toward the shore and you start paddling. It's time to start paddling. When we paddle, we get the most beautiful ride. If you're too late, it goes right under you. But if you start paddling early and you get that momentum going in the right amount of time, it might be this year, it might be next year. But if we start paddling now, we're going to get to ride this amazing wave. And then we get to come out celebrating. We get to say, we did it, we rebuilt. So District 26, I'm going to ask a commitment from you this year. We're going to refocus. We're going to get back to basics. We're going to make quality training. We're going to help our clubs sustain and regrow their membership. We're going to revitalize people by getting back in person and re-engaging, having fun with one another, whether that means an elbow bump or a hug. And we're going to regrow. We have the ability to market both inside and outside of Toastmasters, to draw in new people with the correct demographics. Because as Harold said, and as was discussed earlier in the panel discussion, if we focus on other people's needs, for me, it's my career. Toastmasters has prepared me for the promotion that I just got. This role will continue to prepare me for roles that I have in the future, and it can do the same for you and every member of your club. It doesn't have to be in a job, it can be in your community, it can be in another volunteer organization, it can be in your family. Lark sent me a link to a club called Dungeons and Toast, because role-playing people wanted to learn how to role-play better. How fun is that? Talk about having fun together. Why can't we have clubs like that? Let's do it. Let's regrow. So are you ready to surf? Oh, I heard two people. Let me ask you that again. Are you ready to surf? The tide is coming in. The storm, I hope, is almost over. Start paddling, District 26. And this time next year, for the conference 2023, we will get to celebrate together as a Smedley Distinguished District. I did forget to do something. Lark, I apologize. What good leader wouldn't have an evaluation form with them? Lark, if you would please do me the honor. Thank you so much. Now, I would like your opinion, District 26. What did you think of this conference? This took so much work to put together, and there were so many problems that you didn't see. But ultimately, it went smoothly, and for you virtual audience, thank you so much for sticking in. None of this could be possible without all the people that went into this, and I'd like to acknowledge all of them right now. Our Toastmaster, Jeff Ruiz. Our contest chair, Rosie Serdick. Our logistics and AV chair, Jules Smith. Our publicity chair and the person who worked so hard in everything, correcting all of my mistakes, Ann Hill. Our sponsorship chair, Mary Hoftheiser. Our first-timers chairs, Nancy Winston and Mark Kreckler. I'm going to butcher this one, I'm so sorry. Our hospitality and decorations chair, Revathy. One of these days, I will know how to say your last name. Our registration chair, Christina McCready. Our education and room host chair, Andy Green. Our conference chair, Abarame. Our timers, Angelita Sims, Rosie Serdick, and Tracy Decker. Our tech moderators, Caitlin Powell and Linda Galambos. Our gatekeeper, Jimmy Dent. I don't think flag salute is correct. Our color guard, Daryl Brown, Alan Schwartz, Jimmy Dent. We couldn't have done this at all without the support of our AVMS audio video team. Thank you to Doubletree, Dana O'Boy and her team. And of course, to my fellow trio members, Victoria and Anne. Thank you so very much for attending this conference. This has been, I would love to say a joy. This has been a challenge and a learning experience. And I am so thankful to each and every one of you for what you contribute to this district, for your mentorship and guidance, for your support, for your volunteerism, and just the love that I've seen in this room today. Let's have a fantastic 2022-2023 program year.
Mr. District Director-elect, I, for one, am looking forward to this new year and as we explore the possibilities.